Welcome to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your host, Daniel Green, and today we have quite a bit of interesting fantasy news to get through. I will be front-loading the hardcore hitting fantasy news at the beginning, and then we'll transition to the more adaptation-related news, things like that, towards the end. I'm aware that means a lot of people are going to be clicking off early, because y'all don't care about like Disney stuff that we're covering at the end. That hurts me, literally, in the YouTube algorithm, but I get it. You know, you only have so much time in your day, and you don't necessarily care. But to make up for it, if you could drop a like on the video, I'd really appreciate it, and it would kind of make up for the leaving me. But in the first major piece of fantasy news we're going to be covering here today, and the only one that is directly book-related, Brandon Sanderson released a Stormlight archive update on Reddit. No, this is not just his 75% post that we saw on Instagram. It's a more deep dive that he posted to the Stormlight archive subreddit, and it's interesting to read. He does still plan on hitting his very early 2020, and if this is the case, he's going to have to do thousands and thousands of words a day. If it was any other author, I would be calling BS, but it's Brandon Sanderson. It's like him and Stephen King. I'm like, yep, I believe it. You two can do it. You two are the ones who I'm like, absolutely, you can spit out that much. I do want to be clear though, this is the first rough draft done by January 2020, not book release by January 2020. That would be actually impossible. He also touches on the fact that he's going to be promoting his upcoming book, Starsight, which is already available for pre-order, and I will have a link to pre-order it down below as well. That is the sequel to the very popular Skyward. Now we're going to transition straight into a piece of adaptation news, but it's a piece of adaptation news I have a lot to say on and a lot of feelings around, so we're going to go ahead and talk on the fact that the Halo adaptation is officially beginning this month, filming in Hungary. And a lot of people are very excited for this. Duh, it's one of the biggest gaming franchises in history. Halo's release with the Xbox arguably made the Xbox what it is, and it's just a franchise that has inspired so much elevation of what the craft of video games, the art of video games can be. And fans have been teased with adaptations for, I think, like a decade and a half, a long time. We've been being told a Halo TV show, a Halo movie's coming, and they've been canceled, they've been greenlit then redlit, they've been transformed into District 9 for some reason. There have been like short films and stuff done for Halo, but never a full-on series adaptation. And that is officially happening now. We obviously needed to wait for this deluge of adaptations to be coming, and there's gonna be a lot of competition for Halo. It's going to be a very expensive show to make with a lot of competition, which is dangerous for Halo. But it has such a firm and avid built-in fantasy audience. I'm really hoping that this one can pull out on top, because video games are indeed an art form, one that does not often get the credit it deserves. Many people look down on storytelling in video game as not high or as credible as TV shows or movies, and while there is some merit to some arguments to be made about gameplay interfering with story, I do believe it needs more respect, and a great adaptation from a phenomenal story in this game could help lend to that. It would be amazing to see really this story, which if you have not played the original Halo games, is a remarkable story, done so well. So here is to hoping that the Halo series adaptation is a hit, is well received critically and by audiences. Obviously there's also the feeling of, oh, it's a video game adaptation, therefore it can't be good. And I do, there's the whole curse, that's fine, and it does seem to have a bad, video game adaptations aren't typically good. But if there's any that can break it, I truly believe it's a highly invested, well done Halo show, movie, whatever have you. But this one I'm pulling for. Oh, and the castings that were recently announced are Danny Sampani from Black Panther, Star Wars, and The Last Jedi, Olive Gray from Sex Education and Fleabag, and Charlie Murphy, not that Charlie Murphy, from Misfits and Ripper Street. So they're also getting well-known, credible actors involved. Please be good! Now, I had this article about the upcoming Witcher show sent to me several times. Seems like we're talking Witcher all the time here now. And that is that Witcher Season 2 may begin pre-production fairly soon. It claims November, but after looking through their evidence, there is nothing here guaranteeing November. there's just stuff saying sooner than expected. It might be happening very, very soon. I'm not saying it's not happening in November, but the one tweet they're pulling from is saying, oh, look, it's happening in November. It's from someone who's redacted and just replying to someone who is involved with the show. So we don't know if they are involved with the show or just a crazy person responding. I'm not saying they are. I'm not saying they're not. So I don't pull from that as a guaranteed, yes, it's happening in November, but it does appear with the other evidence they have that Witcher 2's season production will begin sooner than many of us thought possible. And in the fastest I've ever heard a planning for a season 2 ever being done, in July, Netflix announced they will be doing a Sandman adaptation from Neil Gaiman's story, and they've already apparently begun planning season 2. It's just, wow. From July to November, aren't even done with season 1 at all, I imagine, and now putting out a season 2, at least beginning. They're plotting it out or something. Christ, you guys move fast now. And in a this is going to cause comments that are going to be heated story, Bill Murray is reportedly returning for the new Ghostbusters movie. Yes, there is another Ghostbusters movie coming down the road because the last one didn't work out for them, so now they're just, let's do it again. Let's go again. It has not been confirmed how large Bill Murray's role in this will be. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 5 seconds, or it could be the whole movie is about him and his character. We don't know. I just hope it's better than his appearance in the last Ghostbusters movie where he walked in and sat on a chair for about 5 minutes and then he was really done. Oh, and he was on TV for a minute as well. Yeah, let's hope it's a little bit better than that. But now transitioning into the fantasy quickie news. The opening sequence for the next season of Rick and Morty was released on YouTube. We don't know which actual scenes are going to be in the show, which are not. And for those of you who aren't fans of Rick and Morty, haven't seen it, the opening sequence for each season does contain things for upcoming episodes and some things that just never happen, and you have to try to find out which ones are which. We don't know, but the opening sequence is available. Of course, links to check it out in the description down below. We also had the trailer release for Westworld Season 3. It's like this kind of creepy, spoopy ad, and it is a little unnerving. I recommend you check it out if you like Westworld, especially. Well, you probably already have if you're a big Westworld fan. And a writer for the upcoming Disney Plus Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show dropped a couple of details about the show coming down the road. Most notably, in my opinion, is that apparently filming will begin in summer of 2020, which is actually pretty quick. I hope they're taking enough time to guarantee the quality of the writing and the production and everything is up to the standard we expect for an Obi-Wan Kenobi TV adaptation. And in the final bit of quickie news we'll be covering here today, filming is officially underway for the adaptation of the comic book series Dampire. Now, in an interesting bit of streaming wars news, and don't worry, I'll be brief on this, the Netflix CEO says that Disney Plus is the competitor Netflix has the most to learn from, which is an interesting take on the incredible competition that is Disney Plus. And on top of this, he also said that he's not really afraid or not worried about the release of Disney Plus. Yeah, there's a reason Streaming Wars Part 2 hasn't been dropped yet. It's just so much happening so fast. I just don't want to release something outdated because Part 2 is supposed to be and here's what's happening now. And it seems like every day we're getting massive, massive releases. So I will probably put that out after Disney Plus's release so I can do it as a bit of a response to figure out how well Disney Plus has done. And in box office news, The Joker has officially become the most profitable superhero movie of all time. With a budget of just over $62 million, its return of nearly $1 billion is dwarfing the profit from even Avengers Endgame, which had a much more expensive beginning cost. No, it's not the highest grossing superhero movie of all time. I want to make that absolutely clear. It's just made around $1 billion. But in terms of return on investment, there's been no better than The Joker. And in a quickie news update, it has been confirmed that most Marvel movies will actually be on Disney Plus upon launch. They are not going to be missing as many entries as previously thought before. So the ones that are still missing on launch are going to be Black Panther, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Avengers Infinity War, and Thor Ragnarok. Those movies will all become available on Disney Plus at the beginning of 2020 once the rights revert back. Disney Plus has had quite a few issues with rights like this. The only reason they're able to have Force Awakens, for example, is because they struck a deal with Starz. We're actually going to see an ad for Starz on Disney Plus, and they struck that deal just so they could get The Force Awakens back. And also, The Incredible Hulk won't be on Disney Plus, but I don't think many of us will be missing that one. It's still owned by Paramount. And in the final bit of Disney news we're going to be covering here today, Kevin Feige has confirmed that She-Hulk, Moon Knight, and Ms. Marvel will make their debut on Disney+, but will also appear in official MCU films as well, just getting their start as heroes on Disney+. I actually think this is incredibly interesting to see a character introduced in a TV streaming platform type set scenario, and then transitioned over into the larger, bigger, blockbuster hitting Avengers or whatever what have you type films they'll be in. That's different and cool. Just another advantage we have from the technological age we're in for television and movies and entertainment. So that is the last bit of fantasy news I want to cover here today. But I also wanted to touch on something we covered in the last bit of fantasy news. I've spoken on and covered the Witcher author for a while now, and while I love his books, I've been critical of him at times. Things involving the Witcher video game lawsuit where I found him to be acting unfairly just because he made a bad deal and then retracting on it. Apparently there are laws in Poland that actually allow for that type of renegotiation of a deal to be done, a law I don't necessarily agree with, but is absolutely there and fair for him to use. I find a lot of his comments to often be a bit jarring, but I would like to point out and put in defense of the author, I've only ever seen these interviews in the written format. For all I know, he's speaking in a very sarcastic and joking tone. Yes, the Witcher author has said some things and done some stuff where he seems to be at least a very opinionated, harsh at times guy. Telling them their video game will be bad and make no money is a bit extreme. But I did see some comments in the last comment section that seemed overly harsh. And I would like to point out, again, we don't know what his humor is, what is just coming across wrong. There certainly are some things that seem a bit jerkish of him to do in the past. But I would just like to say, hold up, maybe wait for more interviews around the Witcher show where we actually see him speak, get a gauge of who he is as a person, before we leave just paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs trashing the guy. Because I do kind of regret jumping so harshly to one side of the lawsuit when, I don't know, if I had lost out on millions and millions and millions of dollars and I saw a legal way for me and try and access more of it, I don't know if I'd take it or not. I probably wouldn't do it as aggressively or as over the top as he seemed to approach it, but there's more gray here than it seems to I originally reported. But anyway, this has been your latest fantasy news. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Let me know what your favorite news story of the day was in the comments down below. And hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. Have a good one, y'all. Peace. And of course, I'd like to record a special shout out to my latest high tier Patreon, Heather Bales. Thank you so much, Heather. It means a lot. And I hope you enjoy that your shout out is a part of fantasy news.